Thane, did you ever read the Mega Man Archie comics? If so, what's your opinion? Yeah, I've read through the Mega Man comics from back in the day when Archie used to do them. And I've read them all, and they're good. Definitely better than the Dreamwave Mega Man comics. But that's another story. I did mention in an unused piece of dialogue on Sonic Dissected that I felt like the comics had a few balancing issues with doing game adaptations and original stories. But I do like the stories. For a comic series based on a game series that has almost little to no story, it's cool seeing the world of classic Mega Man being more fleshed out. As well as not only doing the classic games, but also featuring elements from Powered Up Remake and Super Adventure Rockman, which is cool. Heck, they could have done an adaptation of Mega Man Soccer just for shits and giggles. I like the comic exclusive characters like Quake Woman, Vesper Woman, Xander Payne, and all the other guys. The last issue was a bit disappointing because, spoilers, it's just a retread of issue 20, except this time it's Dr. Light witnessing the future instead of Mega Man. After that issue came out, the comics said that they would go on hiatus and, well, it's been over 3 or 4 years now, so I think it's safe to say that Archie Mega Man comics are dead, which is a real shame. Sonic X9, your 2 cents on Nintendo of America's censorship controversies. Examples include Tokyo Mirage Session number FE, Fire Emblem Fates, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I don't know, I don't really know much about any of these Nintendo censorship games. I mean, you know, Nintendo's not the only one that's censored games over the years. The only Nintendo-related censorship that I can think of was the whole Smash Bros. Ultimate controversy, where they had to change one of Mr. Game & Watch's moves just because he was dressed like a Native American. Next question. What classic games do you want to see remastered for the Nintendo Switch and why? Well, aside from MediEvil Remastered getting a Switch port, I guess it would be nice seeing a remastered version of Super Mario Sunshine or something else. But yeah, that's all I can think of. Twisted Dark Justin 1998. How do you feel about the rumor about Spyro remastered on PS4, and do you think it's true? Well, back then I would have said, well, if they could do it to Crash, I'm sure they could do it to Spyro. And wouldn't you know it, we did get it. Spyro Reignited Trilogy. It's a great game, whatnot. I would like to try and go more into reviewing the game when I eventually make that into its own video, along with talking about the Crash Bandicoot remastered games. Next question. What are your opinions on Bendy and the Ink Machine? I haven't played it, but I did spoil myself from watching Let's Plays of the game, mostly from Jacksepticeye, who just so happens to have a cameo appearance in that game as one of the tape recorders that you see. I do like the style, how it's this rubber hose black and white cartoons of the old days, with a more horror element to it. So yeah, I'd like to try and give this game a chance for myself one day. Next one, do you like horror films? And if so, what is your favorite? Not really into horror films, mostly in the more gory kind, like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. Don't really have the stomach to sit through that kind of stuff. I feel like the only ones I'm a little more comfortable with are like the real old black and white classic ones. And I've seen some of them, like the Universal Frankenstein and Universal's Dracula, plus the Spanish version of Dracula, which is also pretty good. Next one, besides video game music, what kind of music do you like to listen to? Examples, heavy, metal, pop, And I pretty much like to listen to almost all of them, except rap. I'm not really into rap. Although I do like some of the more classical music. Next one, have you heard of the video game series Twisted Metal? Yes, I've heard of it, but I've never played it. All I know about it is that it has trucks, and there's some scary clown guy. The Skelly343, I'm not sure if I've asked you this before in the last Q&A, or if I'm misremembering, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the survival horror genre of video games, or if I asked you this before on what sort of JRPGs you enjoy. Well, JRPGs, I've only played Kingdom Hearts mostly, and that's about it. As for survival horror, not really into that stuff. Next one, what direction do you think the Crash series should take from here for the future games and series? Well, I would like to see them do more of a full roaming gameplay like what Crash Twinsanity did. It would be cool rather than just solely relying on remastering previous games. Raymond Wilson, have you ever watched Dragon Ball Z or any other anime? I mostly remember watching Dragon Ball Z from the olden days of Toonami. Other than that, I vaguely remember the original Dragon Ball series and Dragon Ball GT, which people pretty much consider that to be the black sheep of the family. As for any other anime, I remember watching Sailor Moon back in the day with Toonami. Fairy Tail, that was something my sister introduced me to. And of course Sonic X, there's that one. Other than that, I'm sure I've seen some others, but that's all I can really think of for anime shows that I've actually seen a lot of. D-Nader, besides Sonic, what other gaming franchises do you like the most? Well, the top three that I enjoy the most would mostly be Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and Banjo-Kazooie. Other than that, I also enjoy Kingdom Hearts, Smash Brothers, American McGee's Alice, Team Fortress 2, Portal. I'm sure there's plenty of other games, but that's all I can think of right now. Rainbow Optimist, favorite and least favorite film? Well, my favorite film, one of my favorites, is Nightmare Before Christmas, obviously. Least favorite one, well, the one I can think of, I know it's gonna piss off a lot of people, and that's Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah, I practically fell asleep when this film was playing in one of my classes at, I think it was high school. No, it wasn't high school, it was middle school. Yeah, they played it in middle school. That was back in 8th grade. Maybe I'll give it another chance, and maybe I might like it and see what others have been seeing over the years. But I definitely remember not liking it when I first saw it. But hey, who knows? I know this also spawned some kind of animated series, which, hey, there's an idea for Forgotten Media. Next one, what video game systems do you own besides a PC? Oh, I own quite a lot of video game consoles. I have, if I can remember the top of my head, I have an Atari 2600, a PlayStation 2, PS3, PS4. I also have an original PlayStation, which is a Japanese version from my trip to Japan. Nintendo 64, GameCube, Wii, Wii U, Switch, Game Boy Advance, SP, love that system, DS, 3DS, Retron 5, PSP, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, and the original Xbox. That's all I can think of. I'm sure I might have left one out, but yeah, that's all I got. Next one, do you have any Funko Pop collectible vinyl figures? Yes, I honestly have a shit ton of Funko Pop figures. With the more recent ones coming out, like new Nightmare Before Christmas ones, new Crash ones, occasionally maybe a new Spyro one, those are the only three that I've been trying to just, the only ones that I follow, because back then I definitely went a little overboard when I started collecting Funko Pop figures. So, if you're thinking of starting a Funko Pop collection, don't. It'll ruin your life. Billy, do you watch WWE? Nah, not really into wrestling. Next one, do you have a Super NES Classic Edition? No, I don't have the Super NES Classic. I have been thinking of whether or not I should get that system. I mean, besides the fact that this is the only official way that you can actually play Star Fox 2. But hey, there's some Super NES games that I've never even got to experience for myself, like, Link to the Past and others. So yeah, who knows? Next one, do you like the Sly Cooper series? Well, I have all 4 games on the PS3, I just haven't gotten around to playing them yet, so right now I can't say if I like the Sly games or not. DZ Dog, if you could make any game series into a cartoon/movie, what would it be? Well, that would definitely mostly be a Crash Bandicoot. Definitely has some potential of being a cartoon series if done right. Then again, I've recently been hearing some rumors going around of the possibility of a Crash Bandicoot cartoon. But then again, it's just a rumor, so who knows at this point. Next one, are you subscribed to any streaming services like Netflix or Hulu? If yes, what do you watch? Well, my parents have Netflix and they usually use it. Personally, I don't use it that often, and I've already mentioned a few times why. But I guess recently, the stuff I've seen, like the new Green Eggs and Ham series, that was a surprise and very enjoyable. And I also finally got around to seeing those Jeff Dunham specials that are exclusive to Netflix. So I do enjoy Jeff Dunham when I'm in the mood. Tsuki Condor, what's your favorite manga/anime? I remember watching Fairy Tail, that was a cool show. XL Saga, just for how random it was. And a little bit of Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon from way back in the old days of Toonami. Heck, those two were pretty much my first introductions into the world of anime. As for mangas, haven't really read much original mangas. I like Kill La Princess, already covered that on Forgotten Media. Speaking of which, I've heard that they're going to make a sequel to that, which is really surprising. I'm gonna check that out if that ever gets released. Now, during my trip to Japan, I did get a handful of mangas, even though I can't read Japanese, but once I have some help, then I'm definitely going to cover some mangas on Forgotten Media, mostly the Ratchet and Clank mangas and the Sonic Dash and Spin mangas. Those are gonna be fun. Next one, what was the first console you got? The first video game console was the old PlayStation. And I played the ever-living crap out of that thing, especially with Crash and Spyro. Good times. Next one, what's a movie you like as a kid, but now you like, and what's a movie you didn't like as a kid, but now you like? Well, I still love Nightmare Before Christmas back then, and still now. For a film that I didn't like at first was Little Drummer Boy from the Rankin and Bass Company. So I mentioned in one of my Forgotten Media Christmas specials, then later on I grew an appreciation for it, and I think it's a good film. Robanator, Marvel or DC, and what is your favorite character from the company? Haven't really gotten to that much with DC and Marvel with their comics and whatnot, and seeing as how they've been going for like this long for centuries, and seeing as how I'm more of a guy that likes to start a series in chronological order, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. But as for characters, I like Batman for whatever reason. I've seen him in a lot of stuff. And I like Deadpool, so yeah, that's all I got for favorite comic book characters from the Marvel and DC stuff. Clok-Roo the Primordial, interesting name there. What is your favorite and or least favorite boss fight? I'm a bit of a sucker with these topics, particularly the latter. Well, my least favorite boss fight is the Time Eater in Sonic Generations. It takes forever to nail a freaking hit on that stupid thing, not to mention your friends are constantly spamming that message over and over again like, oh, there's a homing shot, oh, look out, there's a homing shot. As for my favorite boss fight, well, one of them that I can think of is the final battle with Gruntilda and Banjo-Kazooie. Nice way of doing the final boss utilizing almost all the abilities you've learned in the game. Yeah, good stuff. Next one, I always love to open this can of worms. Who is your most hated video game character and why? Well, one character that I can think of that I hate in video games is Canary Mary from Banjo-Tooie. Why? 3 words. Cloud, Cuckooland, Race. People that have gotten that far in the game will pretty much know the pain and sore fingers we had to deal with in that stupid race. Sheesh, I swear, nobody tested that thing. Ugh. Silent Sam, what do you think about the MediEvil Remastered, and what are your hopes and changes for the remaster? Ah yes, MediEvil Remastered. I remember seeing the trailers and the gameplay, and it looked great, and nowadays the game's been released, or you played through it, and it's a lot of fun. Bit of a shame that there's not much new content added in, but hey, the new damn cam, new camera control, and the little element from MediEvil 2 where you can hold 2 weapons instead of 1 is a nice touch. And there's also the whole bit with collecting lost souls and restoring them to their proper levels. And once you do that, you actually unlock the original MediEvil, which is a real surprise, yeah. But hey, it's a good way for newcomers to experience what the original game was all about. Next one, what are your favorite video game covers? Well, I always like Crash 3's cover. Twin Sandy was hilarious. I like both MediEvil and its sequel. Another nostalgic cover that I can think of is Banjo-Kazooie. So yeah, I have a lot of favorite video game covers. Next one, what is your favorite video game commercial? One that I could think of watching was the Banjo-Tooie commercial, where Banjo's about ready to jump out of an airplane. The guy's like, hey, you need a parachute, that's a backpack. But then he jumps out and he's like, oh, don't worry, I got Kazooie. Whee! And then he's like, nope, Kazooie's not there. And then he falls to his doom. Yeah, that was interesting. Dylan Lee, do you like Five Nights at Freddy's? Yeah, I find Five Nights at Freddy's stuff interesting. Usually I'm not into horror stuff in games, but FNAF somehow caught my attention. I played through the first game, played through the second game, but then I got fed up with the 5th night and decided to enter a cheat code to skip that. I played a little bit of the 3rd game, and that's when I kinda lost interest after Sister Location. Of course, there's also FNAF World, which is usually considered the black sheep of the family, but hey, at least that'll give me an excuse to cover that game on Forgotten Media. Probably the only FNAF-related stuff I'll cover on Forgotten Media. But for the most part, my experience with FNAF is more of an on-and-off kind of way. Oh yeah, there's that FNAF movie that Scott Cawthon has been trying to make, and it's been years since I've heard any updates about that, so who knows, maybe the film will finally get finished and released, maybe it's stuck in development hell, or maybe it's cancelled. Who knows? The news about the film adaptation has been very scarce these past couple of months. Next one, are you excited for Kingdom Hearts 3? Yes, I already have it, and I'll be saving my thoughts about that game when I get around to doing my Kingdom Hearts retrospective. Originally, I was going to do it sooner, but after the Kingdom Hearts Remind DLC was announced, I decided to push that aside and wait for that DLC to come out, and then I'll fully complete that script for the retrospective. Next one, have you played the Kingdom Hearts remasters? Yes, I played the original remasters, the 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8. Glad to finally see all the final mix content getting released outside of Japan. Though the only thing I'm still not a fan of is some of the recolored Heartless designs. I always liked how they looked like in the original, and the final mix versions, I don't know, some of them just kind of look a bit jarring with how brightly colored they are. Thomas Mill, what other anime are you currently watching? Anime that I'm currently watching? As of now, nothing. Next one, thoughts on Marvel comics and TV shows. Sorry, I haven't really read any of the Marvel comics or seen any of their TV shows. I don't think I have anyway. I've seen some of the movies, but that's about it. But yeah, if I decide to get into the Marvel comic characters, it's gonna take me decades to read through them, seeing as how I usually like to start a series in chronological order, and, well, I've already talked about how Marvel and DC have been going since the dawn of time, which will take me forever to catch up. Next one, what games or movies or show, or even a fictional character, do you think you had a lot of potential? Well, if a game's Infinite from Sonic Forces had a lot of potential, but the way he was handled just resulted in a lot of bad development and elements that contradict this character. And I've already gone more in-depth with him about it in the Chaos Theory, so you can go and check that out if you want to hear me rambling on about that. Next one, thoughts on Yooka-Laylee. Ah yes, this game, one of the earliest examples in trying to revive the 3D platforming gaming genre that has been dead for years. I was looking forward to the game, but I was getting annoyed with how overhyped this game was getting. Yeah, so much fan art, so much fan-made videos, all around the time this game hadn't been released yet. It was like 6 months when this hype was starting to really build up. And then there was some controversy about JonTron getting removed from the game's dialogue due to his political views or something. Didn't faze me, I wasn't really a fan of JonTron anyway. And then the reviews came out for the game, and man, this is the first time I've seen a game that gotten so much strong polar opposites. I've even heard people go as far to say, oh, if you give this game a negative review, then you're just brainwashing people into thinking that we don't want 3D platforming games anymore. So yeah, later on I got the game when I bought a PS4, and I had some fun with it. And then I just stopped playing it all of a sudden. Yeah, now it's just one of those games where I enjoyed it, had fun, and then stopped all of a sudden. No idea why. I would like to go back and finish it, but for now it's just sitting with the other pile of video games I have yet to complete. One. Yeah, that guy. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. What TV show do you want to see rotting in Hades' underworld? Well, that's a bit of a redundant since Hades and the underworld are the same thing. Anyway, haven't seen any modern TV shows. The only one that I can think of that I dislike the most is Sonic Boom, even though that franchise is dead these days. A good riddance too. If it wasn't for its lack of identity and consistency, then I probably wouldn't be so harsh on it, but nope, it is what it is, and it's officially dead. So hey, looks like I got my wish after all. Next one, what do you think of Teen Titans Go? It sucks. Next one, what TV show do you see a decline in quality for each season? I don't know, Dexter's Laboratory is one that popped into my head. I remember liking some episodes from the last couple of seasons, but yeah, don't really remember much outside of the changes in art style, which I didn't mind. I just can't think of any memorable episodes during its final years. Dudew Productions, what do you think of the world lineup in Kingdom Hearts 3, and is there a world you want to see? Well, since the game is out and all that, I've seen the full list of worlds. Toy Box is one of my favorites, and I like Monstropolis, with its industrial settings. The only one I didn't care for that much is Arendelle from Frozen, because you're basically stuck on a snow mountain, and you don't even get to go to the town of Arendelle, not even inside Elsa's ice palace and smash things. So yeah, it's the Kingdom Hearts 1 Neverland all over again, where in that world you're just stuck on Captain Hook's pirate ship and never actually go to Neverland. As for worlds I like to see in the Kingdom Hearts universe, maybe in future or whatnot, well, Zootopia would be a cool one to explore. Rabbit would be neat, I guess. And maybe Black Cauldron, just for the hell of it. Next one, do you have a Nintendo Switch? Yes, I do. My username is MeltingMan234, like my usual stuff, so there you go. Kevin Yveltal. Sorry I pronounced the name wrong, but what do you think of VRChat, which is, by the way, a meme dump? Well, you already answered my question for me. It's nothing more than a meme dump. But yeah, never tried it, and I already mentioned in my Sonic QnA category that the whole Uganda Knuckles meme was pretty much what scared me away from having any interest in giving VRChat a chance. Just an ordinary pigeon. Have you played Enter the Gungeon? Yet it's such a good roguelike survival. No, haven't really heard of that one. Simax 2, I like Alan Iturral's Villainius. Now, have you watched Villainius yet? I feel like I've already answered this question. even outside of the QnA stuff, and yet this guy just constantly keeps pestering me about the show, so... Oh well, here we go again! So yes, I've seen Valanius, at least some of the shorts on YouTube. I've seen the ice cream bit, the one with the cloning machine. I think I've seen the one with the paper bad guy trying to install some kind of security system and getting tortured a lot. But yeah, interesting series. I can't remember if it's actually a TV show or just a web series. I feel like it actually is just a web series. But yeah, other than that, that's all I've got to say. So yeah, I've expressed my thoughts about Valanius. Now, will you please stop pestering me about this show? Mary Hartman, favorite and least favorite TV shows. Least favorite one is Sonic Boom, as if that isn't already an obvious one already. Other than that, there was Out of Jimmy's Head. That was that was back in the dark days of Cartoon Network when they started to try and add in some live-action shows. Yeah, live-action show for a network called Cartoon Network. And Teen Titans Go, because, yeah, I like the original more than this. Which is the most generic answer you can get. As for what TV shows I enjoyed, well, like Sheba the Big City, very unique for its time compared to all the other Cartoon Network shows back then. And just like AVGN's endless mentionings of its first review of Castlevania 2, it pretty much has become the most recurring thing on Forgotten Media. Usually featuring in cameos like in title cards or paying tribute to it. Angry Birds, that's another show that I enjoy. Humorous with those two beavers goofing around, doing stuff. Courage the Cowardly Dog, that was one of the great shows on Cartoon Network. Love the style, its creepiness, as well as having some of its emotional moments. I cried my eyes out over Remembrance of Courage, which is the one where we reveal what happened to Courage's parents. And then, of course, there's the infamous King Ramses episode, where that pretty much scared the crap out of me the first time I saw that guy. There's a lot of other shows I enjoy, but right now that's all I can think of. Michael Olson, what is your thoughts on Doki Doki Literature Club, and if you played it, what's your favorite character? I don't know, I think I might have heard of this game. Some kind of anime dating simulating game. That would make sense because there's quite a lot of dating simulating games over in Japan. But other than that, no, I've never really played the game. Dynamo X, would you play a Little Big Planet game or a the Tasmanian Tiger game? I played Little Big Planet before, both the PS3 and PSP versions. I would like to try the other games, but yeah, I remember liking Little Big Planet. As for Ty, I've got a bit of history with him, even though I've never played any of the games. Basically, Ty has always been one of those ideas that I kept tossing around on whether or not I could do on Forgotten Media. But after the trilogy got released onto Steam, I decided, well, I don't think that's gonna happen. But I think now it's like, well, I won't cover the entire Ty franchise, but I will most likely cover Ty 4. Yes, there's a 4th game, and just like FNAF World, this seems like this is one of those games that people know about, but they just don't want to talk about it. 6T76T. What's the funniest bootleg movie or game you've ever seen? Bootlegs, never really had any personal experience with them. Next one, have you heard of the Speedy dub of Dragon Ball Z? And if so, what do you think? Sorry, never heard of the Speedy dub version of Dragon Ball Z. The only dub that I'm familiar with was the original, at least the one back in the olden days of Toonami. Next one, if you can at least get rid of one movie director from the universe, who would that be? I don't know, M. Night Shyamalan. Bishan J. How do you feel towards the animated Mario movie that's being made by Illuminations? Well, if there was some sort of a teaser image or a trailer, then I would have something to say, but right now, I've got nothing. Patrick Frencher, ever watched any of the Monty Python films? I've seen a few of them. The one that I remember the most is the classic Mighty Python and the Holy Grail. And I think I remember seeing Life of Brian, even though I can't remember much about that film. But yeah, that was about it. Bektic Studios, what is your favorite song for the Donkey Kong Country cartoon? Don't really have one. It's been a long time since I've watched episodes of that show. But I know a lot of people have been asking me to cover that on Forgotten Media, so who knows. Maybe when I do eventually do it, then I'll probably tell you what my actual favorite song is. Next one, have you read the Pokemon Adventures manga? No, I haven't really read that. The only Pokemon manga that I'm more familiar with is The Electric Tale of Pikachu. And that's it. Next question, do you watch Rick and Morty, Adventure Time, Steven Universe, OKKO, Loud House, Hey Arnold Jungle, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is basically a huge list of TV shows and movies, and he's asking me if I've seen them or not. So let's see, Rick and Morty. Never seen the show, but I've definitely seen a shit ton of merchandise for it all over GameStop and Hot Topic these days. Well, okay, back in the old days. I don't know if they're still pumping it out, but yeah, I've seen a lot. Adventure Time. I saw 1 or 2 episodes of the show. I think it was from the first season, but that's it. I guess the show was just a little too weird for me, so I never really got into it. My only other experience to that show was mostly from LEGO Dimensions, where they featured characters and the world from it in that game. Steven Universe. My sister made me watch the first 5 episodes on Hulu when she heard that I'd never seen the show. So I did, and yeah, it's fun. Characters are nice, and the world's interesting. Might try and watch the entire show one time, especially now that there's already been a movie, but, you know, only time will tell. Loud House. Never seen the show, but man, there are so much freaking memes of it all over DeviantArt, which kind of scares me. First thing that came to my mind when I saw an image of the cast was, well, it looks like some kind of show about some random guy stuck in a sorority house full of girls. But I'm pretty sure that's not the plot of the show itself. So, who knows, maybe I'll give the show a chance, but I feel like I'm not gonna enjoy it. I feel like the memes pretty much ruined it for me. Yeah, much like how the memes have pretty much ruined Sonic the Hedgehog for me. DuckTales reboots. I remember watching some episodes and I enjoyed it. It's neat seeing some of the more modern look on the DuckTales characters, but still manages to keep the action and adventure that it was always known for. Really gotta get back into watching that series, because I'm way behind. As for everything else on the list, I've never seen it, never heard of it, and really don't have much to say about it if I've actually seen it. Andrew Nassif. Have you watched Codename Kid Next Door? Yes, I remember watching that show. It's a nice show. I also found it neat that there was an episode where they had a cameo appearance of Sheep from Sheep in the Big City. And I can't believe I completely forgot to mention that in my Forgotten Media episode I did years ago. Maybe I can do a revision of that. Next one, have you played the video game Psychonauts? I remember seeing Psychonauts and the trailers for it back then, but never really played it. And then I eventually got the game on Steam, and still haven't gotten around to playing it. Maybe I will get around to playing it once the long-awaited sequel finally gets released. Well, if it gets released anyway. Mr. X50, at the time of this comment was posted before release, what are your thoughts on the recent Nintendo Direct? Ditto! Sorry, this is a pretty outdated question and I can't remember which Nintendo Direct you're talking about. Rad on 548. What are the things you miss about TV? TV shows that are actually good, but then again, I haven't really watched television in a long time. Next one. What kind of cinema do you prefer? The ones that have less noisy kids. That's pretty much the reason why I usually go and see a film in theaters a couple of days after its big release. So that way it's not too crowded and too noisy and all that. Movie theater I usually go to used to have standard seating, but nowadays it's been equipped with those fancy recliners, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I prefer those kind of movie theaters that have space and not too crowded or too small. In fact, recently, the one that I usually go to a lot has this arcade machine that I've been gushing over on Twitter. I think it's called Pac-Man Pixel Badge, and it's basically a huge collection of Namco games. But what makes this one special is that it has hopping mapping on it. Yeah, and here I thought all these years that game was only exclusive to Japan, but nope, here it is, so it's definitely going to be a big help when I do a Forgotten Media episode about the other Mappy games, because yeah, Mappy has had more than one arcade game. More than one game. Next one, favorite and least favorite video game generations. I don't think I have a least favorite video game generation. The one I enjoyed the most was games from the 90s, which is pretty much where I grew up, but I don't really understand the question that much, so yeah, PlayStation and N64 was my time. Callum Sparrow, what's your favorite handheld console system and home console system? Well, I already answered the console one, I think. The original PlayStation and N64 and all that. As for favorite handheld console, it's either the 3DS, Nintendo Switch, or the Game Boy Advance SP. I mostly enjoy that one simply because of its more portability and the fact that it has a light button, which is a real big help. Next one, have you had any experience with British cartoons such as Danger Mouse and Count Duckula, for example? If so, what are your thoughts on them? I don't think I've seen anything with Danger Mouse. I've seen images, but not the show. But I do remember catching 1 or 2 episodes of Count Duckula on the YouTube when I discovered it after watching a YouTube poop using some clips for it. Other than other British TV shows that I've seen The Trapdoor, Grisly Tales from Gruesome Kids, and oh yeah, King Arthur's Disaster. That was something a friend of mine suggested. Some of them that I've been thinking about covering on Forgot Media one day. Mostly the King Arthur one, maybe Trapdoor, but I don't know about the others. Next one, opinions on non-Sonic Sega games like Rise Star, Knights, Super Monkey Ball, Streets of Rage, Vectorman, Reds, Jet Set Radio, and so on and so on. Well, I'm sure some of you, most people know of you that I'm pretty much a fanboy for Vectorman, because it's freaking Vectorman! Other than that, I played a little bit of Rise Star, a little bit of Streets of Rage from the Ultimate Genesis Collection. Never played Jet Set Radio, I might give that a chance one day. I played Knights on Steam, and I have yet to play the sequel, even though I already have the game. Other than that, I do enjoy Bonanza Brothers. Never really got into Super Monkey Ball, wasn't really my thing. Yeah, other than that, that's all I can think of for any non-Sonic Sega games. Nitwit's World, interesting name there. Do you think the reboot of Blue's Clues that just got announced by Nickelodeon will be great as when we used to watch it back show? Oh yes, there's a reboot to Blue's Clues. Man, I keep forgetting about that. Even though, I think now the show's finally come out. But yeah, the original Blue's Clues. I remember watching the show on VHS tapes years ago, back when I was young. Didn't watch them much on TV. I do vaguely remember seeing the special they did, where they introduced Joe as the new host, and when Steve would go off on, I think it was vacation or college. Yeah, I think it was they went off to college. I also mostly remember episodes with Steve as the host. Didn't really see much of Joe, because I think around the time I was starting to grow out of it. But then I did get a glimpse at the spin-off series that they introduced, and that was the one where Blue was a puppet doing puppet things. But yeah, the show's come back now all of a sudden with this new rebooted style. Well, I don't know if it's new or whatnot. I haven't really seen any of the show. I do hear that there was one episode that featured cameos of Joe and Steve, some of the original hosts. So yeah, that's pretty neat. I don't know if I'll get around to it, but hey, I guess for nostalgia's sake, maybe I'll check 1 or 2 episodes just to see, just jog my memory a bit. But yeah, looks interesting. The famous Hector G. Do you know that Disney has bought Fox and causing The Simpsons to end on season 30? Well, I've heard about Disney owning Fox and whatnot. Not sure how that's going for it, but as for Simpsons dying after season 30, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they're still continuing on. But yeah, I pretty much figured that the only reason why Disney bought Fox was just so that they can get the rights to the Fantastic Four. So maybe one day that group will finally get a better movie. I know, I think the first attempt, I haven't heard much about that. I know about the second attempt they tried to do, which didn't end very well. Julio The Gallade, best cartoon video game adaptation. And well, the only one that I can think of is the Super Mario Bros. 3 cartoon. Unlike Super Mario Bros. Super Show, where it's just Mario going through one parody spoof after the next parody spoof, this series actually takes place in the Mushroom Kingdom for once. And the Koopalings have their own personalities, which is pretty cool. I think I mentioned Cheatsy Koopa was one of my favorites. Some characters like Luigi and Princess Toadstool get to have their own time to shine. And I like the idea of characters from the Mario world ending up in the real world and vice versa. So yeah, it's a good show that takes actual elements from the game and actually expanding upon it and making good use out of it. So yeah, that's the only best cartoon video game adaptation that I can think of for television stuff. Whew, finally, this big one's finally finished. And that concludes this very, 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 very lengthy Q&A marathon. I need a glass of water, so, till next time, this is MeltingMan234's signing out. Maybe now I can finally get back into doing Forgotten Media, and maybe bring back Archie Sonic reviews. But yep, other than that, I need a rest.